And we are back. Joining me now is Robert Franklin Newkirk, Jr., author of The Diamond of Life. Great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So I'm intrigued by the title. What is The Diamond of Life?
Well, the title is The Diamond of Life, Redefining and Releasing Your Inner Gift of Power. And the platform that we're looking to put together is a place where people can come together and talk about issues that society has put on them that keeps them separate, either separation, or allows to conform, or puts complacency in place. I think last night the Oscars kind of put together, there were two profound statements that were made that I noticed. First was Monique, who won the Best Supporting Actress for her role in Precious. And she said, "I'd like to thank my husband because he's the one that told me sometimes you have to go, instead of going after what's popular, you have to go after what is right. And I'd like to thank you for that because this is right." The other one was Sandra Bullock. Who won Best Actress, of course. She had to say is that she wanted to thank all the mothers who took the time to bring in and support kids, regardless of their race, creed, or color. And the thing is, my book, we're looking to come into a society that takes the whole and likes to separate everything into different parts. And instead, take those parts and bring them together into a whole. And that's kind of the essence of what the book is about. It's bringing everybody together, regardless of their differences. We're all human beings, and come together so we can build a relationship. But the only way we can do that is start to understand each other, and so we can build that relationship and move forward.
Well, I know you have the camps for kids, one aspect of this. Is that something you work with the kids on? Or
Yes,
also math and science,
yes, I'm a pilot and a flight test engineer, but the only issue that I had was that when I was at my zone, I was either at 30,000 feet where no one could see me, or I was behind some secret compartmental facility where nobody could see me. So it was time to come out, and one way to do that was to go and bring kids and expose them to different aspects of aviation and aerospace. And we did that by having aviation career education camps, and now what I have my Aerospace Flight Academy, where it's designed to bring students from everything from pre-flight to space, and then give them opportunity.
Do they actually learn how to become pilots?
Oh yes, we actually give them opportunity to get behind the wheel of a single engine aircraft, what we call Cessna 172, with a flight instructor, and actually take the wheels and fly the aircraft themselves. So it's a great experience, and we've had a lot of good results.
Well, you know, the FAA is letting kids run the control towers these days.
Oh, well, that's another whole subject within itself. That's really good. Yeah. So.
Except I just don't think they had any training is the problem. But,
no training. They were doing rote quotes. And I'm glad that they were just handing over to departure. And I think that's where, otherwise the pilots would have really been at ease if they were trying to tell them to turn some heading or something.
Yeah, I was having a fun with that with some pilot friends of mine. I was like, well, ever talked to any kids lately at the control tower?
Right.
So, but do you also, so there's the math and science component in teaching them, you know, the engineering side of it, but do you also work with them more on, you know, let's say bridging the divide or some of the language barriers that you told me about with adults? Or,
yes, one thing I learned is that things that successful adults who are successful either with their own businesses or their careers, the methods that they do are very transferable over to kids. And one thing that we do in our academies is we take those students and we put them through the exercises so they can reinforce their thinking that they actually can be successful in their own right. And a lot of kids don't have that opportunity because of their situation at home, or they're just not exposed to possibilities.
Well, you know, you mentioned Precious, and I think of Monique, who, you know, in that character was so awful to her, you know, to the woman, her daughter, and beating her down and telling her what she couldn't do. And also, actually, a guest of mine telling earlier for another show we were taping, telling about her real life, where her grandmother was doing the same thing to her, saying, you know, you'll never mount anything, or you can't do anything, and you'll always be this way. So people really, I mean, that's just not talk. They really are from their parents.
And unfortunately, that is really a real type situation. There are different derivatives of it that go on, but that's a very real situation. And in our camps, I've actually seen, had students that actually were coming from those types of environments. One thing that we talk about often is how important the fathers are to the sons. Right. But nobody really talks about how important the fathers are to the daughters. I have 3 girls myself, and until someone brought it up, I never really thought about it. But first day that we had one of our academy sessions, I was able to look in the audience and with all my high school students, and I could pinpoint which girls had fathers in the home and which ones did not.
Really?
And it's a very profound difference.
So
and
what was the difference? What did you notice?
Oh, well, the ones that have fathers at home, they seem to be able to contain their attitudes, be able to contain their emotions, whereas the ones that didn't have it were really into it, like they were resisting. Like I was telling you, some of the exercises that we would do in the camp that were good for the successful people, we brought it to the students. They were resisting. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Oh, that's for kids 14 years old. I can't do that type of thing. And it was interesting in looking at that because once I found out their background, it was exactly the model that we were just talking about, where there's no father in the home, to help them keep those emotions and attitudes in check so that they're not going into chaos situations when they go out in public. And the students and the people that are there that might have an opportunity for them, they'll see that and they'll keep the opportunity and they'll never know that they had one. Whereas if they behave properly and show that they can make a difference and they have a whole lot of potential, a lot of opportunities will come to them as they go on and pursue their careers wherever they may be.
You told me something interesting earlier. I thought that you said that successful people were 1 in 850. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there's a thing out there that 1 out of 850 people actually become successful in their own right.
I wonder how they calculated that.
And this is the interesting, because the question is, what happened to the other 849 people?
Sure.
And we find out it's the words they use. So they're always saying can't or impossible or won't happen for me or woe is me. Well, the words that you speak actually manifest themselves into your future, and then they become. So you actually have to, because you hear yourself say the words that you say. And they're going to become, so you actually have to change the vocabulary around.
And again, going back to this woman that I just interviewed, she was talking about how she ended up in jail, but because she grew up in a certain situation in East LA and with drugs and no mother, and but she really felt that she couldn't, that there was no other way. I mean, she just, you know, anyway, all of those words were a part of couldn't, can, never, all of them possible. So so I know exactly, and it's not theoretical to me. I mean, you know, you see how this affects people in their real life.
And you notice in society, there's this essence of taboo, that you can't say anything, otherwise you become offensive. There's this big epidemic of apologies that have been happening over the past year. Well, the issue is that they're trying to express themselves, but they can't, because if they use words incorrectly or inept use of those words, then all of a sudden the media comes out and it's a big negative publicity and they have to apologize. And everybody else sees that, so they're scared of addressing issues. But we have a lot of issues that are in society, like I said, that keep people separated, conforming, and complacent.
You gave, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you gave an example of Harry Reid with
oh yes, with Obama.
Yeah, and regarding, well, whether we're not
in his statement, I mean, he was actually trying to praise Barack Obama, but because of how it's worded, because Webster's dictionary has so many different definitions that convolute a particular word, is that anybody can pick out any definition and determine that's what he said. And so without checking to see what his real intention was. And then all of a sudden it gets blown out of proportion. Next you know, Harry Reid has to apologize. Same thing with Rob Blagojevich. When he came out and said, I'm blacker than Obama. Clearly he wasn't talking about he was darker than Obama. The issue he was trying to say was about his experience. But yet he used words that now have all this clutter based on Webster's definition, has a page and a half of definition associated with black. And now all of a sudden he's saying a word that really can't be used and that nobody will really accept. So the essence of the book, The Diamond of Life, what it does is it takes the opportunity to go take key words that are keeping society from being empowered, and I take the opportunity to challenge those words and redefine them.
Well, thank you very much, Robert Newkirk Jr. I'm so sorry we're out of time, but the book is The Diamond of Life. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time.